Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack your sources to really get to the core nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're diving into Dr. Roy E. Richmond's publication, Speaking the Language of Spirit. It's quite profound. Our mission, really, for this deep dive is to explore how spirit communicates, and maybe more importantly, how you can align your own voice, even your thoughts, with this language. You know, if we've ever felt like your intentions, maybe affirmations, just aren't landing. Well, Dr. Roy offers a pretty radical reframe. Maybe it's not that spirit is silent. Maybe, just maybe, our own language is a bit out of tune. So Dr. Roy kicks things off with this really compelling idea. Spirit speaks to spirit. Not always in words we'd recognize, but as pure thought. He uses this analogy like the resonance between a violin A string and a piano A string when they're perfectly tuned.
That perfect match, yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting, the pivot he makes. There's also a specific language we need to speak back, and he uses a fantastic, very relatable example, his Echo Dots at home. You know, Alexa. They only respond to Alexa. Call it John, call it Mary, nothing happens. It just sits there.
Right.
But use the exact trigger word, Alexa, and specific commands, turn the sofa lights on, boom, it responds instantly.
That precision.
Exactly. That precision seems to be key.
Yeah, that Alexa analogy, it really it drives home the need for precision, doesn't it? It sort of challenges that idea that spiritual communication is just, you know, vague feelings, or maybe just a one-way street. Dr. Roy seems to be saying it's more like a precise dance, a frequency match, which, of course, raises the big question, what is that precise language for spirit?
Yeah.
If it's not just the words we say out loud.
Right. So what does this actually mean for us? How do we apply it?
Yeah.
Dr. Roy clarifies that speaking the language of spirit, well, it isn't primarily about the words spoken out loud, though they do matter. More fundamentally, it's about our thoughts of agreement. Because, you know, our thoughts are what ultimately shape what we say and what comes about.
Thoughts of agreement. That's a key phrase. And this highlights a really critical distinction, I think. It's not about just, like, reciting empty phrases or wishing for something you don't truly believe deep down. The power, as Dr. Roy explains it, comes from the alignment. Your internal state, your thoughts, your core beliefs, they have to line up with what you express.
Yeah.
Think about the example he gives when Jesus fed the 5,000.
Yeah.
He didn't use magic words, right? He used words of gratefulness. An assumption, almost, that everyone would be fed. It suggests this internal posture of already knowing, of already aligning with a reality that's, well, complete.
Yeah, and Dr. Roy emphasizes this language of spirit speaks from what he calls the I exist realm. This isn't about need or effort or hoping for something in the future. It's not pleading. It's about aligning our voice with. He calls it the divine voice, activating spiritual law through declarations like I have, I am, or exist as.
Present tense.
Exactly. It's a statement of present inherent truth.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, Dr. Roy is really articulating something profound here. He says, we do not speak the language of spirit to make it so. We speak the language of spirit because it is so.
Wow. Okay.
So it's not a tool you use to, like, force creation from nothing. It's an affirmation, an agreement with an existing higher reality, an agreement with the logos.
Which he explains
as that underlying creative spiritual intelligence or activity, the thing that reveals the law of abundant life. You're not trying to make it happen. You're agreeing with what already is.
Okay. This leads us right into understanding what this language of spirit truly is then. He calls it agreement with spirit breath. Simple but deep. And to really help you grasp this shift, he provides this powerful contrast between old awareness statements and the language of spirit agreement. This list is really something. For instance, okay, instead of saying I need love, which clearly comes from a place of lack, right?
Standard way of thinking for many.
The language of spirit version is I exist as love. I am the expression of divine affection. Or take, I want peace. That transforms into I am peace. Peace flows as me, in me and through me.
You can feel the difference immediately.
Totally. The energy shift is palpable.
Yeah, and one of the really striking things here is that consistent theme. It's always moving from perceived lack or some future desire to an affirmation of a present inherent state. It's already true.
Yeah.
So instead of I'm praying for healing, which kind of implies something's broken or missing. It
Right.
becomes, I am health personified. Nothing is missing in me. And rather than I feel alone, it shifts to I am one with all life. There's no isolation in spirit. This isn't just,
Yeah.
positive thinking slapped on top of negativity. It feels more like fundamentally rewiring your internal operating system, aligning with the spiritual truth that he says already exists.
Another one that really hit me was the shift from, I need to find purpose. So many people feel that way.
Oh, absolutely. A huge one.
It becomes, I am purpose manifest. My existence reveals divine intention. Or instead of, I hope I make it to heaven, which is all about the future, maybe some doubt.
Yeah. Hope implies uncertainty.
It becomes, I live in the eternal realm of spirit. Heaven is my awareness now.
It completely reframes your relationship with, well, everything. Your desires, your destiny, your present moment. And, while this whole concept of inherent wholeness is incredibly empowering, it's worth saying it can be a massive mental leap for a lot of us.
Sure, it goes against a lot of conditioning.
Exactly. It challenges maybe a lifetime of being taught to seek or strive or earn what we perceive as outside ourselves, love, peace, purpose, whatever. But Dr. Roy's work seems to be about recognizing that the search it ends when you realize you already are the thing you were looking for.
Okay, so Dr. Roy then connects this whole idea, the shift in awareness, to the Apostle Paul's journey.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. He suggests that Paul at one point wasn't fully speaking or hearing in this language of spirit.
Earlier Paul, perhaps.
Yeah. Dr. Roy even notes that Paul asked Father to free him from teaching truth with the inclusion of the penal substitutionary atonement doctrine.
Right, that concept about Christ's death as like a payment for sin,
Mm-hmm.
learned under Mosaic law.
And Dr. Roy sees this as part of Paul's earlier, maybe less mature understanding.
Yeah, he references Paul's words, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 8 through 12, the famous love chapter. Dr. Roy calls it the Tree of Life metaphysical translation and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And that passage, it describes how divine love never fails because it's the eternal essence of Father's being. Everything else,
Like what?
well, insights from limited awareness, sayings based on social striving, bits of knowledge from a separated viewpoint, all that stuff is fleeting, temporary. It belonged, Dr. Roy says, to a realm of spiritual immaturity.
Okay, so what we once knew was partial, filtered through veils of illusion or fragmented. Is that the idea?
Pretty much. Coming from that old awareness, seeing through a darkened lens, like looking in a poor mirror, getting a hazy reflection.
But when? Let me get the phrase right. Fully mature, full awareness of our eternal union with spirit appears.
When that dawns on you.
All that immature stuff just
Yeah.
dissolves. It falls away.
And this concept of scaffolding he uses is really key here.
Scaffolding. How so?
He says those things we often call spiritual gifts, maybe prophecy, tongues, specific knowledge, they were like the scaffolding around a building under construction, necessary for a time.
Okay.
But once the awareness of our eternal holy union, the finished building, if you will, is realized, the scaffolding isn't needed anymore. It comes down. Divine love, in this view, isn't one of those temporary gifts. It is our very nature. It's the completed structure itself.
And Dr. Roy explains that phrase, when that which is perfect is come. It isn't about some future event like a second coming or something external.
But not an external thing, no.
It's about our return to full awareness, our own internal shift, the mature state of knowing our oneness with Father, with Source.
That's the true appearing.
And when this floods our being, what we once called spiritual gifts just aren't necessary in the same way.
Right. They were for, as he puts it, the child's journey, not the adult's rest.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings up a really interesting point about personal transformation. It's not just theoretical, it's experiential. Dr. Roy uses his own experience as an example.
How so?
He shares that when he lived from that old awareness, he spoke, he reasoned, he viewed life through that lens of separation, of limitation, of maybe needing things.
Yeah.
But as he awakened to his sacred self and what he calls the Logos life, that inherent creative intelligence, those old thought patterns just weren't relevant anymore. They didn't fit. He says he laid down the tools of a child awareness and began functioning from the divine mind source Father, his terms for that ultimate reality.
And he describes the mirror again, but differently this time. The mirror is our inner consciousness. In old awareness, that mirror is cloudy, distorted, reflecting back an illusion of separation, of being flawed or incomplete. But with the single eye, as he calls it, or awakened to perception, we start to see clearly, no distortion. And we no longer see a divine being way out there, separate from us. We see divine life within us, as us.
And that leads to his definition of being known by Father. It's not about being noticed or judged in a human sense. It's about being known as perfect, whole, and lone, one with Father Breath Divine Mind. That's how Source sees us, or rather holds us.
And the flip side.
To know even as we are known. Well, that means we finally perceive ourselves the way we've always been held in the Divine Mind, as completely unified, perfect, lacking nothing. It's seeing ourselves through the eyes of Source, essentially.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive into Dr. Roy E. Richmond's Speaking the Language of Spirit has really opened up a powerful new perspective, a different way of looking at things. We've explored how spirit communicates thought, vibration, resonance, and how our own thoughts or declarations are so integral to speaking its language. It really is a radical shift, isn't it? Moving from that place of lack, of seeking, of trying, to one of simply existing in abundance, truly agreeing with the spirit of wholeness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that journey he describes, from old awareness to a mature, unified perception using Paul's experience in his own, it's such a profound reminder that our inherent nature is divine love and oneness. That's the baseline. And when we embrace this mature awareness, this realization, the need for those external spiritual gifts or maybe striving, it just fades. Because you recognize divine love isn't something given to you from outside. It's your very essence. It's what you are.
And as Dr. Roy concludes, it's simple but powerful. When we speak the language of spirit, spirit hears and agrees with the truth you speak.
Because it's a truth it already knows within you. It's a recognition.
So for you, our listener, here's maybe a final thought to ponder on from all this. If, as Dr. Roy suggests, you are already perfect, whole, and one with spirit right now, and divine love isn't something you need to get, but it's your very nature, what does that actually change? How does that shift the way you approach your current challenges or your desires, or even just how you perceive yourself in the world around you today?
Does it change how you ask? Or even what you ask for?
Good question. Something to sit with. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It's been fascinating. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep expanding your awareness.